Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Let's try that. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the University Center Ballroom for the induction of the class of 2014 into the University of South Alabama Athletic Hall of Fame. I'm Brian Freeman, Assistant Athletic Director for Media Relations here at South Alabama. And on behalf of myself, Director of Athletics, Dr. Joel Erdman, and the committee chairman, Mr. Farrell Anders, I'd like to thank everyone for coming this morning. The USA Athletic Hall of Fame was created in 1989 to recognize the achievements of former student athletes, coaches, and administrators who have had a tremendous impact on the university, both in and out of competition. Including the 4 individuals with us today, 68 former Jaguars have received the honor of induction into the Athletic Hall of Fame. Before we get started, I'd like to introduce South Alabama Director of Athletics, Dr. Joel Erdman.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you all for being here today. I do want to make clear one simple thing. We had planned this for at the bell tower, and that was Brian Freeman's idea to have it at the bell tower. And Wednesday it was my idea to bring it in here. So you're welcome. I'd like to introduce, or at least have, the Hall of Fame Council. Please stand. People that serve on the Hall of Fame Council, would you please stand? Thank you. The Hall of Fame Council is made up of people who love South Alabama and South Alabama athletics. They spend time and concern in this selection process. This is a valid process that is done with a lot of thought, and we recognize and appreciate the service of the council. I would also like to recognize we have some inductees here, people that have been inducted into the South Alabama Hall of Fame. At the risk of naming them, I don't want to miss anybody, but if you would all stand if you are currently inducted into the South Alabama Hall of Fame. I would also like to recognize Brian Freeman. Brian puts in a lot of time and a lot of work into the biographies and the history, the statistics, the archives. Looking over 50-so-odd years of athletics is not an easy thing to do. And to provide the council with information on which the decision of induction is based takes time and effort. So we appreciate that, Brian. I'd also like to recognize Charmin Wall. Our inductees come from various places, as we normally do. Some from across the Atlantic, some from way underneath, and some from up the road. And Charmin Wall organizes and coordinates their transportation to Mobile and back. So Charmin, if you'll wave, she's in the back. She's kind of shy. I would also like to thank administrators. It is a great time right now at South Alabama, particularly in this window of opportunity, about 5 days. There's been a lot going on, and being busy is very good. And our administration and our staff get stretched a little thin sometimes, but they work hard, and some of them are down at LAD right now, and some of them returned from Tallahassee last night, and so we appreciate their hard work. It is undeniable that South Alabama athletics is an honorable and valuable entity. Its past is strong and proud, and its future is filled with anticipation, optimism, and opportunity. What is the role of the Hall of Fame? There are 3 basic reasons the Hall of Fame exists. Number 1, the Hall recognizes stellar achievement of our inductees. Their stories are both unique and similar, with common threads of talent, effort, sacrifice, commitment, and achievement. They earned a level of excellence that has propelled them to this great honor. Secondly, the Hall of Fame enhances and promotes the tradition, heritage, and excellence of the University of South Alabama. Excellence today cannot be achieved without precedent. Precedent is born from performance, and performance is displayed by teams and individuals. Thus, our culture, our values, our expectations come from our past and our best, and the Hall of Fame is filled with those examples of the best. And lastly, we are an education of higher learning, and we have an obligation, and we are charged with improving people's lives. That's why we are here. One of the best teaching tools is role modeling. To me, this is the core worth of the Hall of Fame. Its members and today's inductees are our role models. They are the ones that we point to with our student athletes of today and tomorrow, and we say, be like them, follow them, make them as proud of you as we are of them. Long story short, the Hall of Fame is made up of trailblazers and leaders. They are the ones that created and solidified the foundation that our future path travels upon. The Hall of Fame is history and tradition, and it creates a unity, a pride, and a common mission enjoyed by everyone in this room and thousands who are not. On behalf of our sport programs, our 400 student athletes, and all members of the Jaguar Nation, congratulations to today's Hall of Fame inductees. Be proud of your accomplishments, be proud of your alma mater, be proud to be a Jaguar, and most importantly, enjoy today. Thank you.
Our first inductee today was not only the first Jaguar baseball player to earn an athletic scholarship at South Alabama. In 1966, he won the inaugural Frederick P. Whidden Award presented to the Student Athlete of the Year. This honoree led the Jags in batting average and runs batted in for 3 years and stolen bases all 4 of his seasons with the program, going on to claim the President's Award a second time as a senior in 1968. That spring, he helped USA finish with an 18-9 record, which included the program's first ever win over an Auburn team that entered the contest undefeated and coming off an appearance in the College World Series. Originally from Pritchard, Alabama, I'm pleased to introduce Henry Doc Richardson.
Thank you, Brian. And I guess I would be considered a trailblazer. I want to thank the committee for making this possible, and especially Coach Lucas, who was instrumental in this also. And I would like to thank my family and friends who came from, some from Florida and North Alabama, to be here today to share in this honor. I would like to take us back quite a bit, and you see how pretty the campus and everything is today. Back when I started, we had one building. That was the classroom building, the administration building, and our snack room. And they were starting on some other buildings at the time, but we operated out of one building. And what made my decision to come to South Alabama was the fact my father had passed away in my junior, senior year, and my mother was raising my 2 sisters and myself. And so we decided that I would go to a local university or college, and I decided to come to South Alabama when I heard that they possibly may have a baseball team. And it was a good decision, and every day is great to be a Jaguar, but today is especially important to me. I'm going to take you back to our first year. That was 1965. And that first year, Coach Lucas, his recruiting efforts was a sign in our snack room inviting all students that were interested in coming out for baseball to meet on our, it was a Babe Ruth field that the university had incorporated into its property. And it was not in very good shape, but he told us the day to be there. And of course, I had my ball cap, my glove, my spikes, and was ready to start practice. Well, no. Coach Lucas says he come out with shovels, rakes, and hoes. And we got out there on our hands and knees, picked up pebbles and rocks, raked the infield, tried to get it level to where we could practice on it. And the next day we started practice. So it was a little different than it is today, as you see Stanky Field. That first year, we were 3-12. And one of the sports writers in Mobile for the newspaper told Coach Lucas, he said, Coach said, y'all were 3-12, and said y'all were 300% better than what you should have been. Our team was not really real good, but in fact, I had a couple talks with Coach Lucas during the year, and he had a saying, and he'd use it every time when we were talking, trying to figure out how we could make the team better or more competitive. And I don't know if you remember it or not, Coach, but he said you can't make chicken salad out of chicken, and you know what the other word is. That was Coach Lucas, not me. So anyway, after this first year, right after that, Coach offered me a scholarship, and from then on, our next 3 years, we had a winning record, and I like to think we got the winning tradition that South Alabama started. And that last year, Brian's already taken some of my thunder away. We were playing Auburn, and they had just come back from the 1967 College World Series. They didn't win, but they were in the final 8. And they come in undefeated with several wins already in 1968. And Coach Nix was the Auburn coach, and he met with Coach Lucas, and they were talking before the game. And he told Coach, he said, our top pitchers hadn't had any work lately, and we need to use them. I feel sorry for y'all. And so anyway, we played, and we won that game 2-1. And then we beat Alabama twice during the year also. So those were the highlights for me, and I sure appreciate y'all coming out today, and thank you again.
Our next inductee was a member of the men's soccer team for 3 years in the 1990s, earning all Sun Belt Conference honors each fall while also twice being named the league's Player of the Year. A second-team All-Region selection his first season as a Jaguar, this individual would help lead South Alabama to 3 conference championships, as well as the school's first-ever NCAA play-in game. During his career, the Jags won 49 of 66 matches, highlighted by an 18-2-2 finish as a junior. As a forward, he ended his USA career with 47 goals and 125 points, both totals that ranked 5th in program history. Hailing from Cape Town, South Africa, I present Sean Rothhusen.
Thank you very much for that generous introduction. I actually had no idea that I accomplished some of those things, so it's good to know. This really was an unexpected honor. It was so unexpected when I actually received the email all those months ago. I thought it was a hoax set up by one of my old teammates. I was convinced when I responded to the email that sort of like, "You've been punked" moment is going to pop up. That's the kind of guys I played with. A little bit nervous up here. Let me just take a second. It's times like this when I realize that I probably should have paid more attention to the Communications 101 class I took back in '93. Right, so let me start by thanking the committee for this incredible honor. This is it's very difficult to describe how this makes me feel. It's something that I'll cherish forever. A special word of thanks has to go to Charmaine Wall for answering my many, many emails and convincing me that it wasn't a hoax. I wish my beautiful wife, Michelle, and lovely little daughter, Mia, could be here to celebrate with me, but unfortunately they couldn't make the trip. I had to get that in there because I promised my daughter I'd mention her. So that's not done. She's only 7. Well, my wife definitely deserves a special mention. Any married man could tell you, getting your wife to give you a hall pass to go to another country, hang out with your old college buddies is not an easy negotiation, regardless of the prestigious award that you're winning. It was a hard sell. Soccer is not it's a team sport. It's not an individual kind of sport where an individual can't shine without a good team. I was fortunate enough to play with great teams. I had great players, great guys. Some of those guys are here today. They've traveled around from the States to get here. And I thank them for being here. They were some of the best players that I played with. Guys that were willing to put their body on the line to prevent a goal. Guys that made my job of scoring goals very, very easy. I certainly wouldn't be standing up here today if it wasn't for all those great teammates. They all deserve a mention, but I'll spare you the roll call. There's just a handful that I'd like to mention personally. My roommate for the 3 years, Craig Peter, who got into all sorts of trouble with me, and Brent Hanks, who got us out of all that trouble. It's no coincidence that Brent's actually in the legal industry now. And there was a guy from Cape Town that I played with as a 10-year-old. We sort of grew up together, Dale Edwards. He convinced Coach Patton back in '93 to give me the opportunity to come out here and study and play soccer at this great institution. So without Dale, this would never be possible. Coach Roy Patton was one of the best coaches I've ever worked with. In saying that, he was also one of the craziest coaches I've ever worked with. The craziest Irishman I've ever met. But without a doubt, the best coach. And without him, I would never have been able to achieve this award. When I'm asked about my time in Mobile from people back in Cape Town, the first thing that comes to mind is always the great people of Mobile. I met some wonderfully generous people. People like Becky and Louis Edwards and their daughters, Leslie and Melanie, who invited us into their home and treated us like part of their family. And there was also Gail Hanks, who opened up a house, turned it into a soccer frat house for many, many years. There were countless other people like that from Mobile that made my life here that more comfortable. It made me forget about being homesick. Sorry, I need some of this. So looking back on my time playing soccer here, there were two things that come to mind. First was, as a student athlete, how much I really enjoyed being treated like a professional athlete. Everything was taken care of. Your meals, your kit. Traveling around the country was great. You get to see different parts of this awesome country. You fly in one weekend, the next weekend you'd be on a bus traveling around. And all you had to do as a student athlete was just get to the bus on time, which is far harder than it sounds. There were many, many times when assistant coaches would be dispatched to go and drag people out of their beds and get them on the bus. We were kind of living a rock star lifestyle without the fame and fortune. And the second thing is just how short it all was. The season was always too short. And when you look back on it, college life is pretty much a short time as well. So I say to all the student athletes, enjoy every minute of it. Make the best of this opportunity that you have. And hopefully in 20 years' time, some of you will be up here and experiencing this. Because I got to tell you, it's pretty cool to be acknowledged like this for playing the sport that you love. So thank you very much for listening to me. Thank you to the committee. And thank you to my teammates for making this possible.
The next inductee was a member of the Jaguar baseball coaching staff for 20 years, serving as pitching coach and recruiting coordinator while helping the program advance to 17 NCAA regionals. During his stint, South Alabama posted a 794, 431, and 1 record, a 64.8 winning percentage, while claiming 9 Sun Belt Conference regular season and 7 tournament championships. In 1990, his Jag pitching staff finished with a 2.80 earned run average that ranked 3rd in the nation. This individual helped 35 USA pitchers sign contracts with professional organizations, including 6 who would go on to pitch in the major leagues. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ronnie Powell.
These guys don't need this yet. And if I talk too loud, my hearing's going, my eyesight's going, a lot of different things are going when you start getting a little bit older. But my wife told me this morning, she said, Ron, and she's the only one that calls me Ron, she said, Ron, you're long-winded, don't talk long. So, that's it. And it might be the shortest one that I ever talked about, but there's a few folks that I really want to thank. I want to thank the committee because it's so special to me because I'm not being inducted as a player. I'm being inducted as a coach. And I'm not being inducted as a head coach. I'm being inducted as assistant coach. And very rarely does a university honor an assistant coach in this capacity. But obviously they think that I was instrumental in helping this program become a little bit better. So I definitely want to thank the committee for looking into that. It's very special to me, and I really had no idea that I'd ever be inducted because not as a player, not as a head coach. So I want to thank the committee, and I want to thank Dr. Erdman. I know he was a big part of it too, and I appreciate all the people voting for me and getting me in. I want to thank Coach Kittrell because if I hadn't had an opportunity to coach here, I wouldn't be here. And Coach Kittrell obviously felt strongly enough about me being on his staff, and he hired me. And Joe Gottfried was instrumental in making sure that the hire was accepted, and I got a chance to coach here. So I'm very, very grateful there. I do. And I got to do this as a coach. You get a lot of accolades, but as a coach, you get a lot of bad press as well. And it's almost invariably, if the team wins, the guys played and the gals played great. And if the team loses, they need to get rid of that coach. So needless to say, I got a lot of criticism in my time. And back in the old sound-off days, I was about in there every day. But anyway, I guess I showed them, didn't I? Mike Goff, you didn't think I'd say that, did you? But I want to thank my family, and I know I'm embarrassed them, but would you stand up? And that's living with an old ball coach and supporting the old ball coach for all those years, because they're the ones that had to look at sometimes going to school and look at negative press and whatever. So it's tough being the family of a ball coach. So I love them and I want to thank them very much for being there for me. And I've got down here the reason I'm here. 20 years worth of players. I'm not here for anything I did. It's not about me. It's about you. We went to 17 regionals in 20 years. I didn't play in any of them. Not the first one. They played. You played. And it's not all about the great players. See, these are the great players. But what about the Joe Blows? That's just the ordinary player. What about the grunts that's out there every day, the 250 hitter? What about the fourth team bullpen catcher that never plays a lick, but he's out there catching bullpens every day? This is what it's about. This is why I'm here. It's about every Tom, Dick, and Harry that played 20 years of baseball here, and about the ones that were before me and the ones that will be here after me. You see, Brian asked me about memories, and he said, pick out your best memory you had as South Alabama. I can't. I've got 20 years worth. These guys got 4 or 5. I got 20 years worth of memories, and here's what I remember in the 20 years I was here. Toughness. Toughness. Blue collar. It wasn't Hollywood. It wasn't California. It wasn't laid back cool daddy. It was roll your sleeves up, let's go to work, come in that ballpark, and when you walked in that ballpark, the other team looked and said, oh goodness, we got our work cut out today. They come to play. And when we got off that bus, we didn't fly, by the way, not much. When we got off that bus and we walked in these other folks' ballpark, there was respect there. We had an air about us, and folks revered us and respected us because that's what we were. We were mid-major. But by golly, when we went to Auburn and Alabama and these other folks, we had respect. And all of that comes from team. You can have a bunch of great players, and I want to tell you, while I was here, sometimes we'd have more talent one year than we would the next year, but the next year would win more games and go further. It's all about chemistry and glue and togetherness and playing together. And Coach Kitchell used to say this all the time, and we learned it from Coach Stanky. Who do you want in a foxhole with you? You're going to look over at that guy. Do you want him in your foxhole? Do you want him in your foxhole? Because they're protecting there. They're protecting there. And that's what we did. For 20 years, we were tough, hard-nosed, blue-collar, played the game hard, and we weren't fair weather. Fair weather. And Coach Kitchell brought this out all the time. Fair weather. You fair weather son of a gun, you. Remember saying that? And what that meant was when you're up and you're playing, you're burying people. But when it got tough and you got behind, are you going to reach down and find a way to come back and win? We weren't fair weather. We played, and you've heard this a lot, but this is why we're successful. We played for the name in the front, not in the back. You know what that means? We played for South Alabama, not for Smith and Jones and whomever. That's who we played for. And lastly, so I'm cutting it short, Cat. And I got this written down, and I hope this doesn't sound corny because I really, honestly feel this way. May I humbly accept this honor for all the players that ever played here, especially the ones that won't make the Hall of Fame, but contributed everything they could for USA.
Our final inductee was named to the Sun Belt Conference All-Tournament team twice, earning Most Outstanding Player honors in 2000 after leading South Alabama to the championship and a berth in the NCAA tournament. This individual also was a first-team All-Conference selection in 2001 after helping the Jaguars advance to the National Invitation Tournament, leading the team in both scoring and rebounding that year for the second season in a row. A 6'10" forward from Bucharest, Romania, he ranks among the top 12 all-time at USA in both scoring and rebounding. Ladies and gentlemen, I present Virgil Stănescu.
Sorry. Basketball, I mean. First of all, thank you to the committee for having me here and for giving this great honor. It's really overwhelming, and looking to my left here, it's unbelievable to me. I just finished last year playing, so it's amazing. Thank you to my parents, and you know, it's easy to see the right path on some giants' shoulders, and well, literally and both ways. And thank you to my wife, beautiful wife, my family, my friends, my teammates. Of course, my teammates. I wouldn't be here without them. I wouldn't be here without the coaches. With every coach, and it's amazing. That speech was inspiring and really amazing, because this is what coaches do. Like they take care of us. And when you're lucky enough to have good coaches, you know, you get to this position right here. So thank you to all the coaches. Bob Welleck was my college coach, and at the time hated him. I really am. And when we met for lunch yesterday, and they were like really friendly. Unbelievable. So different. Last time I was excited in South Alabama. We won the championship, and I was holding an interview with a TV station, and you know, so excited I spoke Romanian, and they were like running over and over and saying, "Hey, we don't know what he's saying, but he's excited. You know, they won the championship." So if I get to the point, just raise a hand, because only 3 guys gonna understand. So it was great times back, and I remember, you know, one of the years there was a title in the paper, "A Big Man with a Big Plan," and that was me coming here, speaking half English and half Romanian, taking notes in Romanian. But I never felt a foreigner here, really. Like, and I want to thank a special person. Miss Brenda Hanson is right here. Please stand up, because it's mom away from home. And I'm sure other foreigners here like feel the same way. Like, she walked with me on the senior night, and you know, it's a special lady to me. As I said, I never felt a foreigner, because all of you and made me feel home and made me feel right. Came here with a really big plan, and I really paid attention to that public speaking class. I mean, it was also the first class I enrolled in, and it was my first semester. And you know, they tape you, and they take so they can give you a grade, but they're like, "What? I'm speaking normally. What? I mean, what did he just say?" You know, but it, you know, attitude was okay. So it got me in a better position. South Alabama really helped me. Being an athlete here, I learned a lot. I had a great career, and thanks in big part to South Alabama. I stayed here 3 years, and really was a tough road, because coming from Romania, it's a different thing, taking notes in different language. And you know, if I wouldn't have these wonderful people around me to guide me and help me, I wouldn't be who I am now. And basketball-wise, and you know, character-wise, because right now I feel the education part of it, and I'm staying in management while I graduated here, and made me a better person, not only a better athlete. So thank you for having me in the Hall of Fame, but be sure you are in my Hall of Fame. So Thank you again. It's a great honor, and it obliged me much, and I will not let it down. And I'm proud to be a Jaguar. I'll be a Jaguar for the rest of my life since I stepped first foot in Mobile. So, go Jags. Thank you.
Are you getting this? Are you getting this? I have the greatest job on the face of the earth, and admittedly, there's about 3 or 4 or 5, sometimes 10 days in a calendar year that are very special. And Hall of Fame inductions are definitely part of those days. It's very special for all of you to be here today to support these people, and it's very special for you all to be here. Tonight at the football game at 6:30 against Texas State, the inductees will be introduced on the field at halftime. Please join us there. We've got a lot of other recognitions this evening at that game, and it's a big, important game. So dress warm. Thank you for being here today, and we're adjourned.